We're gonna work on a few problems, word problems that are on the lesson and that I'm not sure you're gonna be able to do on your own, and you might need just some extra help or explanation in order to be able to understand them. So we're gonna work with problem number 23 first, okay? Number 23 tells you about Tara, and she is building a fence for a fish pond she has. So think about this circle as the fish pond she has. She needs to get a fence. That means she needs to enclose the fish pond, right? That's what we will call a cerca, right? So she needs to figure out how much fencing she needs, and then she needs to also understand how much money she needs to pay for the entire fencing if she is paying $3.50 per foot. So what we're gonna work on, it's on understanding first what is the fencing I need. So that means what is the circumference I need, and then we will find out how much money would that cost. How am I gonna find it? Well, they are talking about diameter. So with diameter, remember, we need to work with circumference equal to d times pi, right? It's the easiest. And so we know they're telling us here that the diameter for the fish pond is actually 40 feet. And so we are just gonna multiply those two things. So 3.14 times 4, I'm just gonna do it times 4, and then I will add the 0 at the end, okay? So 16, then that's 5, and then that's 12. And of course I need to add the 0, the 40 had, and then I'm gonna move the decimal point. So I have 125.60 feet, right? That would be the measure of the entire fencing I need for the fish pond. Now, what they tell me now is, okay, this is important, but it's not the answer of my problem. Because the problem is actually about how much money she needs to pay for it. Now, they tell you to estimate. So we can actually estimate in order to get the answer, right? But I'm going to get the exact answer just because I have the time to do it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take 125.60 times 3.50, right? And so we know that's gonna be 30, and so 28, and that is 12, and so that is 6, right? And now I'm gonna do it with 3. So 0, and then 18, and then 16, and then 7, and then 3. Then I'm gonna add all this. 16, that's 9, that's 13, and 4. And I have 4 decimal places, so I'm just gonna move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. So I know my answer is actually that. So Tara needs to pay $439.60. Okay? Now again, I got the exact answer. If you estimate it, you're probably getting something close to this number, right? Okay. Now let's go ahead and work on problem 24. Problem 24 tells us about a lawn and how we get Dave to actually use a lawn roller. The word lawn means grass. Okay? So what this is for, this is a little, we could think about as a wheel, but it's not. It's to cut the grass actually, and it's a little, it's like 3D, you know? So you have another one over here, and you you're going to move it with your hands, and you're gonna be able to cut the grass as you're moving. Okay? Now, of course, it gotta be round so it moves smoothly, right? So once we understand what a lawn roller is, we're gonna understand what to do in the problem. So here I again have this is the drum of the lawn roller, and we need to understand what is the word revolution. Well, when anything that is round, that moves around the ground, does a complete turn, that's a revolution. So think about a point over here. Think about a point right here. Okay? Now, if the lawn roller is moving, it's gonna go all the way until it gets to this point, right? All along the ground, the grass. Once it approaches the initial point again, that would be a complete revolution. It's like one turn. I'm going one turn. That's a revolution. So what this tells us here is that the problem says that Dave, he pushes the lawn roller 100 yards. And the drum makes 50 complete revolutions. What is the drum's circumference? And what is its diameter? So what we need to think about is, okay, if we have yards as the unit, so we have 100 yards, that's the distance, the lawn roller covered, okay? And we know along this distance, it completed 50 revolutions. That means 50, I could say actually 50 circumferences, right? Because if one revolution is one turn, what that means is that I'm actually using the entire circumference in the drum the lawn roller has. So what we need to think about is, okay, if we are completing 50 circumferences, how are we gonna get the measure of the circumference? Well, that is pretty easy, right? Because if I have 50 circumferences and I covered 100 yards, well, the only thing I need, in other words, the distance covered is nothing but actually the multiplication between the amount of revolutions, right? The amount of revolutions times what? Times the measure of the circumference. Okay? So if I think about distance, that distance is going to be the amount of revolutions times the circumference. Now we know here this is 100 and the amount of revolutions is 50, but then we need to find C. And that is pretty easy. That is a simple equation. Because if we divide by 50 in both places, we know we're going to get 2. Okay? So what that tells me is, in the first question, that the drum's circumference is actually 2 yards. Right? Is that easy? Now, we need to understand how to get the measure of the diameter. So what we need to work with now, it's with the circumference here. So we're going to use the formula for circumference. And the formula for circumference, remember, can be either circumference equals 2 times pi times r, or it can be diameter times pi, which I'm going to use that one because they're asking about the diameter. Now we know the circumference is 2 yards, and that should be equal to diameter times pi. I'm going to get rid of the units for now because it's just easier to work that way. And I know pi is actually 3.14, or we're going to round it to 3.14. So here, again, it's a very simple equation. I'm going to divide times 3.14 in both sides, right? And then this division, I gotta do it on a side here. So remember that I have 3.14, but then that 3.14, I gotta multiply it by 100, remember? Because we need to make the divisor a whole number. And so that means 2 gotta be multiplied by 100 as well, so I'm getting 200 now. What that makes is that I'm gonna have 314 and I'm gonna have 200 here. So 314 is actually gonna be, 314 is gonna fit. Is it going to fit in 200? It's not gonna fit. So 0, right? Well, you guys usually place it over here, so I'm gonna do the same. And then I'm gonna add another 0. So I know that's about 6 times. How do I know that? Well, because if I do 7 times, it's gonna be past 2,000. And so I know this is gonna be 6 times 4 is 24. I get 2 here, right? And then 6 times 1 is 6, and then 2 is 8, and then 18. Then I'm gonna subtract it, and that is gonna be 6. This is gonna be 1, this is gonna be 1, and of course here I'm not gonna have anything. I'm gonna add another 0 here, and I know it's about 3 times only. Why? Because if it was gonna be 4 times, 3 times 4 is gonna be 1,200, so it's not gonna work. So 3 times 4 is 12, 1 here, that's 3, then 4, and then 9. If I subtract, this is gonna be 8, this is gonna be 1, and this is gonna be 1. And I can continue on working, right? Am I right? Yes. Let me see. Actually, that's gonna be 2, sorry. But I can continue, which is fine. I can just continue with it one more time. Just because I want to have 3 decimal places so I know how to round here. So it's going to be we're gonna check on 7 times. Let's see if 7 times actually works very quickly over here. So that is 28, that is 7, and 2 it's 9, and then there you go. So we're getting a little bit past that, so we're gonna have to use 6 again. So that is right, that, and the remainder here is gonna be 6, that's gonna be 17, so that's 9. This is gonna be 10, so that's gonna be 2, and the 10. So we have over here, we're gonna round over here, so we know the diameter, it's gonna be 0.64, but in this case it's gonna be yards. Remember, we had yards at the beginning, so this is gonna be yards. Now if we wanted to have different units, inches or any other units, it's just a matter of converting it, right? But for yards, we have 0.64 yards. Okay? Oh, well, we have to find the nearest inch. So we actually have to convert 0.64 yards to inches. And so we need to recall how many inches do we have in 1 yard? And so I'm gonna need some room over here, so I'm just gonna get it over here. And so we need to remember that 1 foot is actually 12 inches, isn't it? And 3 feet was actually 1 yard. So we can actually tell that 36 inches could be 1 yard, right? So if we understand that, then it's just a matter of getting the conversion here. So remember, dimensional analysis we work with in December. So we multiply that by the equivalence we're working with. The units gotta be up and down, the ones I wanna cancel, right? And then I'm just going to cancel those out, and I'm gonna multiply that times 36, which is gonna be 4, 38, 3, and then it's gonna be 18, and then it's gonna be, that is gonna be 12, sorry. It's gonna be 12, then 18, and 1, 13, 19. And then it's gonna be 1. So it's gonna be 4, 10, 13, 2. And so I have 23.0. So it's gonna be 23.04 inches. That's gonna be the diameter of the lawn roller, okay? So just wanted to explain those two just because you were probably gonna have a little bit of trouble remembering how to work on the conversion of units, and also understanding what is a revolution and what is actually a lawn roller, because we don't actually have those here unless you have a huge house with a huge backyard. You might have one of those, unless otherwise, well, it's not a common thing everybody has in their homes here in Colombia. Okay, so I'll see you guys for lesson 20.3. We will do circle graphs. Okay.